Well, good morning, everyone. It is I, Guthron. How's everyone doing? I'm here, and I'm joined by Cellist Mike. Say hello, Cellist Mike. That about sums it up, I think. Yeah, it does. I think that sums it up. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, at this point, you'd agree to anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so... Sorry, I'm just adjusting some sound levels.
Yeah.
I need to turn Alexa down a little.
Okay.
Okay, my ears are back in. You can stop saying all the bad things about me.
Oh, no. I'm just sitting. Sit.
Sit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I do believe you have this game.
I do, but it's showing you as invisible.
Of course it is. So I don't need everybody seeing that I'm constantly... Where did you go? Constantly... on
Doing
screen.
round grinder.
I think it's constantly running, let me tell you. But I mean, only when my computer is constantly on.
Yeah.
Because I'm running that stupid handbrake process in the background.
Mm.
There it is. And so... If my computer is going to be on running that process, why not have that on, right?
Yeah.
Plus, it kind of gives me something to pay attention. You know, it's something that I can actively be engaged in while not really committing to anything.
Mm-hmm.
It requires very little from me.
I imagine because it's on times where I'm pretty sure you're sleeping.
Oh, that thing is on all the time, except when I'm streaming, playing another game, because I can't have that game on while I have another game going. He doesn't like it. It's not like Soda Dungeon, which can run. I could run both of those. I could probably run both of those simultaneously.
Yeah. Flash-based games, you probably could.
Mm-hmm. I click it already. I click it already. So, how are you this morning?
I'm so groggy.
Groggy. He only just got up and turned his computer on like 10 minutes ago. We're pushing things to the last minute.
I mean, I laid down
from
to
the
go to
first
sleep
stirrings
at
of life
10:30 last night.
to the great beasts of the Stone
I
Age.
got up at
To man
1:30
taking his first upright
for
steps.
about an hour.
You have come far. Now begins your greatest
Laid back
quest.
down, and
from this early cradle of civilization
for about 45
on
minutes,
towards the
I fell
stars.
asleep.
Duchess of Aquitaine, regent of two lands,
Mr. Bean
patron
is
of
talking.
troubadours and judge of the court of love, ascend your throne again.
Who am I
Inspire
again?
the hearts of your subjects, that they will cheer you and flock to your banners. For all who know your reign, know your compassion.
Okay, he's done talking. I'm surprised he hasn't died yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, you were saying about how tired you are?
Yeah. I went to bed 10:30. Couldn't fall asleep. So after 3 hours of laying in bed, I got up for about an hour. Then I tried it again. It was about 45 minutes after that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is still better than
It tends to be.
past week. Yeah. It's psycho.
Okay, so a little, stream housekeeping. I'm Guthron, that's Chalice Mike. We are both veterans, and we are both veterans with PTSD. And on Tuesday, Thursdays, we like to talk about it and talk about our struggles, talk about our successes. Because if we don't talk about our successes, then everything is kind of overwhelming, right?
Successes? What are those?
Hey, you gotta celebrate the little things. Okay? And I'm gonna talk about some of them today.
Alright.
Because I think you need to hear it. I'm thinking all weekend about what we were gonna talk about. And the more I talked to you yesterday, the more I was thinking, we need to talk about some of these. So, you, my friend, are going to go to sleep until I can deal with these barbarians.
Okay. Don't need to tell me twice.
Not you. Ah! Floods! No! Floods! We have floods and barbarians all over the place. Oh, the Barbies. Monumentality, give me that. Give me that.
Did you get a golden age?
Yes.
Congratulations.
The Rhine River has flooded. Why is it the Rhine River?
Because you're France.
The Rhine doesn't go through France.
I don't know. What was the Eleanor, Queen of England and France, footprint look like back then?
It didn't include that. You know what it means? It means Germany is to the north of me. That's what those names give away things like that.
Yeah, but I was on the Rhine and I wasn't Germany. So
Yes, but was Germany in the game?
I don't remember.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, but why would I be on the Rhine if why would I be on the Rhine if Germany was in the game?
I don't know.
I think that, yes, that's true. But,
Ooh.
okay, so what they said was that sometimes any river or any mountain range would be tied to who started by it.
Mm-hmm.
But that was only for some of them. And that others are just populated just there.
Mm-hmm.
That aren't affiliated with who's...
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting tired of this site. Maybe it's this.
Okay. So America's a butt.
Not to me.
I think they need to die. Yeah, well, you're not on the same continent as them. Oh, so I decided, rather than making a dam right away, I'm gonna let it flood a few times first. If I'm in a flood area, because once you dam it, the benefit, like the number of tiles that get fertility, is drastically reduced.
Yeah.
Okay, so just expansion right now, it looks like. Okay with that. Do I have a...
Alright, so...
Yes.
Yeah, so we are veterans of PTSD, and we like to talk about our struggles and our successes and things like that because it helps us deal with things, right?
It
Right.
does.
So let's talk a little bit about the weekend. Well, let's talk about how your past week is going. This weekend is going. You can start.
So, I am on a superficial level, very high functioning person. On a real level, I have horrendous sleep problems. Because I'm single with no dependents, no children. Yeah, I should just say no kids. I'm single with no kids. Oh, I'm divorced. This was part of the reason I'm divorced. Part of the reason I married in the first place, yes. But I can hide a lot of those sorts of problems, like 3 to 5 hour naps most days, sleeping for 13 hours, sleeping for 3 hours, not being able to go to sleep, sleeping through alarms. I can hide a lot of that stuff from the world. But getting back in school, well, I've lost a couple jobs because of that sleep. I've gotten
A couple?
letters of counseling, letters of warning from my most recent job, the one that I don't know, probably the most flexible job when it comes to attendance, when you can just last minute call out and there's really no repercussions. And even then, you get counseled. But so now that, intentionally trying to go back to school, and I've missed so much school. And so, yeah, Thursday night, I was in bed for hours and hours and hours, could not get to sleep, and so missed school Friday morning. Same thing again yesterday. Sunday night, hours and hours and hours, and laying in bed trying to go to sleep, missed school. Just, this school has attendance policies, so just really nervous.
Do you have an idea? Do you have an idea what's been bothering you?
Really, I don't know. You know, when I'm laying in bed awake, there's no one theme to my thoughts. It's just everything's active. You know, my mind's always running,
Yeah.
and it could be, I don't know.
Anything?
I mean, yeah, I think about world events,
Play.
people, games, books.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just very, very, very. Yes. Tired. Is just the only thing I can say.
Yeah, well, it happens. Unfortunately for you, it seems to happen a lot. So that was a long list of mess ups. So what's something that went right?
So the things that go right.
It's a little harder, isn't it? You see, this is the thing that I've had to do is I've had to think on a much different scale, right? I've had to think about how everything seems so hard to do that you have to. It's like trying to relearn how to live. You know, it's those things that used to be simple, the things that used to be, just come second nature to you. They
Just don't anymore.
yeah, they don't anymore. It doesn't just
That's just not how life is.
yeah, it doesn't flow. Like the simple things that you used to do, like just getting up and getting through your day, don't anymore.
Yeah, they're undertakings. If you can manage it.
Yeah, if
then
you
it's
can
an undertaking.
Exactly. It's so when you start thinking about those little victories, you have to start thinking about the simple things like, okay, when I got up today, did I remember to brush my teeth? Did I remember to get dressed properly?
Yes.
Did I remember to take my medicine? Did I remember to... So see, when I'm talking about, talking about those little victories, you have to start small.
Yeah.
And honestly, the only thing that helped me, work through those things was the how do I put this? Was starting with those very, very little things.
No, it's true. When I was in my worst before I started, well, I had started therapy before I had really started making progress in therapy. This is going to sound disgusting, and it is as disgusting as it sounds. I was going weeks without showering.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
But even though I'm not in that place anymore, it's still... You can get an idea of how I've been by how long it's been since I shaved, how long it's been since I showered, trimmed my hair, brushed my teeth.
Mm-hmm. And when those things start to go, you just start to feel it's like this cumulative effect. You get up and you look in the mirror and you look a mess, and you feel a mess, and then you just feel down about yourself. It's just this endless cycle. So that celebrating those little things, I remember you saying your therapist said you need to do something that you're good at so that you can succeed at something. Even if it's something very simple, just find something that you're good at, that you know that if you do it, you're going to be okay at it, and it will help you get, start getting those little victories, right? I think you just said that last week. I don't know if when we were streaming or something else. I think you said it when we were streaming. I don't remember right off the top of my head, but I do remember you saying that. So, and it's very powerful doing that. So, I'm going to talk about the last 4 days for me. Okay, so okay. I got a letter from Voc Rehab that basically said we aren't going to help you. We can't help you because you're too educated. We can't help you with independent living because you don't need any of this stuff. We're just not going to do anything for you because this is a go to work situation, and we don't feel that if we sent you to work, we'd be doing you any favors because you clearly aren't as functional in public as your rating says you are. And so they're like, you need to go to the Texas Vet Commission, an advocate, and tell them and say, I need to up my rating.
So did they actually give you a letter?
Oh yeah, I got a letter saying that they
Good. Okay.
Yeah, so I got that in the mail saying that we won't help you. And that was just, that whole thing I talked about it before. That whole thing was just blah.
Devastating.
Yeah. What is going on with this? This I'm trying to play music in the background. It keeps just buffering. And I don't understand what it is about this channel. I'm pretty sure it's because it's the stupid copyright free stuff, and it's like they're limiting their bandwidth or something. But I went directly to their YouTube channel to play this stuff, and now it's buffering in the background. And I don't get it. There should be. Well, first off, why the heck are you trying to play in HD? It's music. Let's try that.
Let's see. So, gotcha. It's YouTube or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was playing it from DubTrack, the website there. It's where you can create stations and just let it play and stuff. And I had fed this stuff to it a while ago, and it just, for some reason, it just started getting to this point where it would play a song for like a minute, and then it would just buffer. And the only way to start again was to reload the page. It's like, that's not beneficial to me at all.
It's hard. The number of times I hear people talk about, how the VA...
Oh, the VA is just this horrible place.
See, I've had such positive experience and positive success with them. I can't say it's horrible. What I always say is it's incredibly inconsistent person to person.
My experience with them has been that the only place that's been beneficial for me is I'm picking something. Let's do this. For me, the only thing that's been beneficial is the whole Texas Vet Commission people. They have been good.
Oh, but that's the
advocate group. Yeah, it's an advocate group, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a much different. It's different. But the fact is, they're there because the system's broken. So anyway,
that's true.
We've talked about this before. So I got that letter, and it was like a punch in the gut. It's like, really? I'm clearly struggling here, and your answer is we can't help you because of decisions you made in your previous life that now tie our hands. It's like, you say right now, I have all this education. I should go out and I could go out and get a job with this, stuff like that. Have you actually looked? No one will hire history professors without any experience, and I didn't get any experience because I did my degree while I was serving our country, because it was the only way I could do it. And because I did that, I wasn't at the school basically being, free labor for them, for the professors who didn't want to teach, going in and being their teacher's aide and teaching their class for them, gaining all that classroom experience that I could then parlay into, an entry-level job later, right? I didn't get to do any of that. So I can't just go get a job. So how about you guys? That's one of the reasons I went to him. I says, look, clearly I have issues being in front of people now, so I'm going to struggle with that. But there's got to be some way you guys can help me get past the barrier of you have no experience, so we can't help you at all. And they're like, nope. And the guy was like, we're being honest. We don't think that it would be good for you to do this. You need to find other options. But I
was going to say, it didn't sound like
their other option was to just say, we can't help you, go ask them for help. Like,
yeah, I see.
It's frustrating. So I got that letter like Thursday night or Friday evening or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I could let this beat me up. And 2 months ago, I would have been ruined the next day.
Yeah,
I would have been useless. But my family can't afford right now for me to be that way. They need me to be functional. So even though I know I can only be functional for so long, I went out Saturday and I said, I'm gonna go out there. There are lots of Uber Eats delivery boosts going on, so I'm just gonna go out and I'm gonna make what I can. And I went out and I was out for 10 hours and I made like $180. But the victor that and I didn't get, I got triggered only once, and I was able to do it was when I was delivering to somebody's house and park in the driveway next door. And I thought, as I was going back to my car, because I was getting ready to get in the car, suddenly a siren went off, and I was just like, oh crap. And I thought they'd called the police. It's like, I put my flashers on. I was clearly delivering to your neighbor next door, but it was just an ambulance. I was near a fire station. So they were, it had nothing to do with me, but I was able to calm myself. But before I even did all that, I went and I applied for a job doing, as a part-time computer tech, where they'll actually help work with me to get the certification training. Yeah, which is kind of what I went to the VA for. It's like, can you help me get this? Because this is something I have an interest in. I've been doing this myself for years. I've been doing it for other people. It's clearly a viable career field. It's something that if I get into, I'm not necessarily going to be exposed to a lot of people at once.
But on the one hand,
it comes down to money. It comes down to money. They don't want to spend the money because they see me as functional.
You already have employable skills.
Yes, but
it sounds like they see you as non-functional.
Exactly.
Which is true. You have employable skills. You're non-functional.
Yes, which is where there's that's. The last time I checked, that's the reason they exist.
Well, the vocational rehab, I thought, was
helping veterans get the skills they need to get work. Yeah, to get jobs.
But you have the skills for employability, so they can't do anything.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem. That's the problem. The VA is saying you have this problem that we caused, which is why we're taking care of you. That problem negates all of those skills because I can't go out and do those things.
Yeah.
So like, it's like on one hand they're saying we agree, we did this to you, and we're also going to drop the ball and not even provide you the therapy that you need. And
see, that's where the problem is I would say, so compensation I have a love-hate relationship with.
oh yeah,
But therapy is like, that's where, like, it's, you gotta be able to get it.
yeah, well, yes, but it has to fit in their box.
Yeah, and when you have complex PTSD, talk therapy rather than a structured therapy was what I had to do.
Exactly. And well, they wanted me to do CBT.
Yeah, and I couldn't do that.
I couldn't. Well, the reason why I couldn't do it was because the person they put me with didn't want to be bothered with establishing a therapeutic relationship first. She just wanted to jump straight in, and what she was asking me to do was basically find, like, let's focus on solutions. And I looked at her and I said, do you have a job, under your chair that you're going to pull out and hand to me? She's like, no. I said, then you can't offer me a solution, because the solution right now to most of the problems I have is that I can't find a job that I can do, and I keep losing jobs. And she's like, well, these are negative thoughts. We have to. It's like, this is not negative thoughts. This is reality.
This is negative reality. Yeah.
Yes.
Which is one of the reasons why the compensation is important. Like, if the goal, and we're not going to. I don't want to get into a discussion whether it's appropriate for veterans to get compensation in such a way that other people in society don't, because that's a huge conversation and not relevant right now. Mm-hmm. The fact is that veterans are, as a country, we've decided that veterans should be taken care of.
Yeah, that's a conversation that the whole country needs to have, and when the whole country wants to have it, they should have it, and they should listen to veterans, they should listen to non-veterans, blah, 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 blah. That's not the conversation we're having. Right now, the country's decided we're going to compensate these people for the stuff we put them through. And frankly, the stuff that I've seen, the stuff that I've been forced to do, the stuff that Mike's been forced to do, yes. I'm not going to say it's not needed.
Yeah,
You heard him.
I'm more socialist than a lot of people think, though.
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't say that, but yeah.
Mike said it earlier. Hold on, let me reiterate this. Mike said it earlier. There are things going on with his body that he has no control over. He gave us an example. When his body decides it's time to sleep, he's sleeping and he has no control over it. There's something off there. And the compensation that he's getting is trying to offset some of the difficulties that causes. So that's, so let's set that. So anybody who's questioning the whole, whatever about the, why we're getting it, blah, 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 blah. Let's just set that aside.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what the thing is about this, I'm back to this buffering issue. I can see by looking at YouTube that the stupid video had downloaded so much of it. Like, it was well past where it suddenly decided, oh, we're just going to buffer right now.
Jeez.
It has got to be my ISP. But it doesn't do this when I'm not, or it's just,
never mind.
Maybe but it's download. Streaming is upload.
Yeah.
I'm not downloading anything else. My internet speed's like off the charts. Download thing. So I don't understand what it is about.
Yeah.
And it just keeps doing it.
Dang.
It's like, I just want some ambient background music. And at this rate, I'm going to have to download all this copyright-free music and then just create a thing on my computer for it.
Which is not what you want to be doing.
No, I don't want to be doing that. Anyway. Oh, we got off topic there.
So, Oh, when okay, so this is going to sound political, and this is one of those situations where I argue that I'm not trying to disagree with anybody. I'm trying to just say something as it is. This is not an opinion. This is just how our country works. We have a society that wants to support each other. In this case, we're talking about veterans. Wants to support each other and support veterans, but there's not enough money to do it. So the VA, for example, when you talk about what is accomplished for the dollar amount being spent, it's way more efficient than... Now, the VA is very different than a lot of federal stuff, but the VA is way more efficient than most private organizations, which is not the case for most federal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so hospitals will run with tiny budgets compared to private hospitals. Doctors will have massive patient loads with nowhere near the pay of as if they've worked in a private hospital or had a practice in a private hospital.
And as commendable as that is, it shows.
It shows, exactly. And one of the things is
I've had to stop going because of how factory like because they just have so many people they have to see to be, and so many, and there's penny pinchers and efficiency people who are behind the scenes saying,
penny pinchers.
You're not going fast enough.
There
you're
you
not
go.
going fast enough. And so every time I was going to even the annex, I don't feel like you are actually even listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to make the decision to stop going there for my care.
Let's see.
It is an honor to meet you, Indonesia.
So while the VA as an organization does not support minimizing benefits, trying to find loopholes to not pay benefits, compensation. Be like, oh, well, you didn't answer this question exactly like I wanted, so I'm gonna pretend like I don't understand that this is what you're saying. They will not award benefits at the levels that are functionally real. So let's say, okay, so if you miss 25% of your days at work, or if you have panic attacks 1 out of every 10 days at work, and you have to leave and go home, guess what? That's unemployable. If you're an employer, you fire that person. And even while federal law says you can't discriminate against disabilities, that's not it. You can't discriminate against disabilities if there's reasonable accommodation. And when it comes to reliability, they have to have somebody there to work. If you're not there to work, they can't accommodate that. And so absences don't generally fall under the reasonable accommodation umbrella. If you have panic attacks and you have to just leave, you're not covered. So if you miss 10%, they're going to award you based on, 10% functionality loss sounds like nothing. But in reality, that's 100% employability loss.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have people doing evaluations that don't treat that like the 100% it is. And that's rough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they it's a business for them. And if they're
enough that it causes a problem.
Yeah. I've lost 3 jobs.
Yeah.
Because of this. It's demoralizing. Hey, Eye of Sahara. But what are you going to tell them? I mean,
Yeah, like you be upfront. You say, I've lost this. Employers, I can't hold down a job because of this. I experienced this. I, shower. I miss showers this often. Uh, my relationships have
tanked.
In these ways. They're all. It's for some people, it's a numbers game. For some people that do the VA evaluations, it's a numbers game. And frankly, when you can't hold a job and you have to pay for your own life, your family, that's like there is no recovery mentally. You can't make progress that way. So you can't have one without the other. You can't have treatment. You can't have effective treatment without the compensation to essentially, bolster you while you learn to cope with the new you.
And that's a key there. The new you. It's you, like when you've gone through something like this, and you start having, and you go through having PTSD, you go through trauma, stuff like that. Things change in your body.
Oh yeah, your brain is rewired.
Yeah. So you can't just I've had this conversation with Art. You can't just pretend you're okay. You can't just say you're okay and keep going, because eventually you're going to crash. And that was something I was going to say, when I finished talking about this weekend, is I keep looking around the corner for the next crash because I just expect it to happen.
And that's one of the primary ways that rewiring happens. Is, normally it's a survival mechanism. The way that my therapist explained it. Normally, we have survival instincts. Stay away from that snake. Something's rushing at you, dodge out of the way.
Yeah.
Something's moving towards you, flying at you really quick. We have these survival instincts. And the reason why I call them instincts is because nobody teaches you to dodge that rock coming towards your face.
Yeah. You just do it.
Do it.
Well, you may get hit once and then you learn it.
Yeah. But again, that's how your brain is wired. Yeah. So when your brain experiences something incredibly hard or harsh or damaging or scary over so for PTSD, there's symptomatically PTSD and long-term severe stressor are synonymous symptomatically. So if something so horrendous happens that your brain is like, oh my god, this kind of thing can happen anywhere, anytime.
Mm-hmm.
Those survival instincts then override everything else, and you're always waiting for that to happen.
And here, let me give everybody an example of what he's talking about. So yesterday, I went to a clinic. It was a new clinic. It was a very calm place, right? So there was no loud music. Everybody was, kind of just doing their thing. Most of the people sitting in the waiting room were just not paying attention to anything. They were just sitting there quietly, right? So you think, okay, this is a good, comfortable place. It's one of those clinics where when you go into the back area, you have that the hallways that are like where the center of the building is like a square hallway with rooms in the middle and rooms on the outside of it. So, and then in the middle of that, there's a hallway going across, and that was the nurse's station. Okay, so the thing you need to understand about that is there were doors everywhere. So every time I was standing somewhere, there was always a door behind me. And when I first went down there, when I first went to the exam room, there was nobody really around, and so it was okay. But when I came back out to do the checkout, I had to stand between the two doors that allow patients to come back into the area, and I couldn't stand in a way where I didn't have my
see.
back to one of them. And the whole time I'm standing there, people are constantly coming through those doors, and it was no warning.
Oh.
I spent the entire 5 minutes I was standing there feeling like I was on edge. My ear was tingling, my nerve, like I could feel my heart rate going up, and it didn't matter that I was telling myself someone's going to come through that door. Someone's going to come through that door, because I couldn't predict which door someone was going to come through. And I was also having to engage with the nurse about my care. So most people were just like, oh, okay, it's just frustrating, but no, it was, for me, sensory-wise, it was overwhelming, and it didn't stop.
Overwhelming sensory, because your brain, rather than filtering out the way that it should, your brain tries to catalog everything that's going on around you. And it is exactly that word you used. Overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Did you see Man of Steel?
I didn't.
Okay, so do yourself a favor. Here, I'm going to send you a message in Discord. Let's see. Look up Man of Steel sensory overload scene. That should lead you to it. There's a scene in Man of Steel where Clark is at school. He's a young kid, and all of a sudden, some of his hypersensitive powers start to manifest. So he's sitting there in classroom, and all of a sudden, he can't not hear everything that's being whispered, every sound in the room. And when he looks up and he starts panicking, and he looks up at the teacher, starts asking a question, he looks up at her, and all of a sudden, he can see inside her. And he's clearly 10 or 11 years old, and he panics. And I remember him saying to his mom, the world, because they got his mom there, the world's too big, well, it's too scary, and she had to say, focus on my voice. It was extremely powerful, as far as, therapy-wise, it was an extremely powerful scene.
Yeah. So, I'm willing to bet that whatever question the teacher was asking, even if it was something simple, he just stammered or stuttered or didn't even acknowledge.
He couldn't even acknowledge it. He couldn't even acknowledge it.
That's
still
where the functionality comes in. Yeah.
It's one of the most powerful scenes of, sensory overload that I've ever seen. It deals with, so if you've got a child who has sensory input, sensory processing disorder, or like if you have a kid who's autistic, or even someone who is extremely ADD, ADHD, because there's some comorbidity with the things that people who are autistic and who are ADD, because it's kind of just barely on the scale. It's like very extremely high functioning autism, but it's not. You're not considered autistic.
Like you said, comorbidity.
Yeah, there's some things that are the same. That scene is just it's that issue in a nutshell. It's like, so if you want to understand what it can be like when you're out somewhere and you can't unfocus from what's happening around you. That's what it's like. If someone in your life is suffering from this and you want to understand what it's like, watch that scene.
And the inputs, so a lot of, oh my gosh, I hate how often this comes into politics. So, or what people think or refer to as politics, which is so stupid. People talk about liberal snowflakes or whatever. So.
Oh yeah, just the thing that I have. Like, if everybody look over to the right, the top right or the top left corner of my thing. That thing up there that I've got up there, safe space, and it's in the banner below. Safe space. This is exactly what Mike's about to talk about.
That concept that you just have to tough it up is associated with a political lead, a political stance. And the idea that everybody needs support in their lives is also somehow a political thing, which, to me, that's all ridiculous. But trauma, severe trauma, has been happening for eternity. Yes. And it happens to a lot of people. A much, much, much greater percentage of the population than we necessarily acknowledge. And throughout history, one of the ways to deal with that is just suck it up. So you end up having abusive.
Yeah. The phrase "suck it up, buttercup."
Yeah. So if you do that, you will become an abusive person, whether it's emotionally abusive, physically abusive, and yes, even sexually abusive. There's a reason why you have people who lived in abusive environments turn into abusive people.
It's what they know.
Yeah. So I argue, and I will say, that if you don't find support, if you don't learn to be a functional, healthy person, then you're screwed. Everybody around you is screwed. Society is screwed. Everything is screwed.
But getting back to what we were talking about, it's frustrating, but you do have to find. We're talking about a lot of the negatives right now, but those baby steps that I was talking about, the celebrating the little victories, you have to find them. You can't not find them. If you don't find them, everything is going to overwhelm you. Yeah, and so for me, I decided that when I got that Invoke Rehab, that I was going to find an option. And as I mentioned last week, I'd already applied for a job that's kind of similar to what I used to do, but it's in a different thing. And it was a whole lot easier than the stuff we had to deal with. But it's something I can do. It would be part-time and it would be at home, and I wouldn't have the extra stressors that environment we were in would cause.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Triggers.
I was gonna, but the whole point of all this was triggers.
Exactly. Triggers.
Finding what it is, the ingest, the emotional or the sensory ingest that triggers it, that starts it, that puts your brain in that, oh my god, something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yep.
I went and I decided, you know what, I considered this before, and I'm going to go apply for a job part-time, because before it was full-time. I'm like, I'm not doing a full-time, I can't commit to that, but now it was part-time. So like, I'm going to do it. And so I applied for a job, and then I went out and I worked 10 hours, forcing myself to be social to support my family. And I managed, and as I said earlier, I got triggered by that siren, and I got in the car and I did my ART, eye movement stuff, and I got through it. And the next day I took group to church and to just my class thing, and I managed to do 20 minutes in the classroom before he'd had enough, and we had to leave because he was too stressed by what was going on. And I took him home, and then I went back and I finished class, and I was able to contribute to it. And then so little things here and there, little victories. And then yesterday, when I was out I did Uber for the evening, I was able to actually provide help to two of the vendors. I was able to come out of my shell a little bit and talk to two of the vendors to say, look, this is what you need to do, to go into your app and do this. And that was incredibly difficult. Especially when the Uber's tech support wasn't supporting, because they were having maintenance issues. So I was able to help that. So, but as I said before, I'm constantly wary of when is the other, because I'm forcing myself to be functional, and I'm pushing myself, and I'm trying to pace it so that I don't push myself too far. But I'm just, this is the world I live in now. I expect the crash to come. I expect something to come that's going to be overwhelming, and it's going to leave me emotionally drained, and I'm not going to be able to cope with it, because that's just the world I live in. But hey, so the thing I wanted to say today, for this stream, and I wanted to say it directly to you, is Like, you gotta find those little victories. Whatever it is. I got up at the same time every day this week. So that's a victory. I went to bed at the same time every day. That's a victory. I brushed my teeth. I managed to remember to go to the bathroom. I showered. I fed myself maybe I forget to eat a meal, 3 meals a day. So I fed myself 3 meals today. Find those little things and celebrate them. Say, hey, guess what I did today? I ate all of my meals I was supposed to. That's a win. Take it.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things I really wish sometimes in life we had that the little Sims achievement little thing when you accomplish something. It would also be nice to have that bubble over our head to tell people I'm in a mood. Hey. So if you take anything away from today's thing from for all those of us struggling with mental issues, PTSD, anxieties, whatever, find those little victories, those little things, and just start celebrating them, and to celebrating them when they happen, so that you can push yourself to try to achieve something a little more, because it really is, as I think Mike said earlier, I said, you're relearning how to live. And as much as you want these issues to go away,
they won't.
They
don't.
Oh, and I forgot another big one. Yesterday, I had my sister was talking to me, and she was asking me questions, and so I had to call. I realized I can't just do this through text, so I had to call her. So I had to put myself out, there. Called her, and then she was asking about information about websites, and and she wanted to ask questions about mine, and so I called her and I answered her questions, and I even said, poop. Lost that settle. I have to rescue it. I'm going to have to. I was like, I can do this for you. And as soon as I started to say it, my wife was just like, no. And then I followed it up and I said, but I can't do it I can't do it if I'm not paid for my time, because I don't have the time to do that.
Yeah.
And so, I basically just told a family member, you want me to do this for you, you have to pay me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That,
like, I don't have the resources for favors.
Yeah, I can't. I want to, your family, and I don't want to be mean or rude or anything, but I don't have the resources in my life right now to do this. And so, yay me, I did it. But then the very next thing that happened was I suddenly got extremely nervous and I couldn't put words together. And so I said it. And then here's another little victory. I said to my sister, I got to get off the phone. I'm sorry. And then I apologized in text, and she's like, look, I get it. I understand. And so,
good.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't.
Well, and I'm wary sometimes with, especially with family, you have to family's known you forever. So
yeah. They haven't known you necessarily.
Yeah. None of I think the only family on either side that has experienced me since this has all happened is my brother-in-law, so my wife's oldest younger brother, and his wife. When I went to the Albuquerque Museum, the Hidden Treasure Museum.
One of my sister, who they are the only ones that have ever come out to visit me. Out of 6 siblings, my sister and her family, the only ones that have come out to visit me. And when they came out to visit me for the first time, it was, after Afghanistan, it was PTSD Mike. And she was like, she definitely commented on the difference. She was like, this is...
I heard, you'll appreciate this. I actually heard my wife say to her mother when they were talking about me, like, she said, Mom, I think you greatly overestimate his ability to be functional in public.
Yeah.
And I appreciated her saying that for me, but at the same time, I was like,
it's humiliating.
It is humiliating to be, and family is, they're there for you. My family has been very supportive of me through this, but there's always
still humiliating. Yep.
Yeah, there's always this moment of, and there was a point where before they fully understood the scope, I remember one of my family members just straight up saying, what is it you're trying to get disability for again?
Yeah.
Like, and so I was trying to explain it, and I couldn't. So I just said a lot of things. Because it's not it's not just the mental side. There are physical problems too.
Oh, yeah. So for a decade, more than a decade, I maintained 195, my weight.
Mm-hmm.
And then overnight, I started putting on weight, just packing it. I digest super slowly. I get bloated. My heart, when I ended up in the military, the only reason why I could pass a PT test, because my heart rate PTSD, Mike, my heart rate would spike. You can't run when your heart rate has spiked.
Say, I'm gonna stop you there for a second. You need to stop saying PTSD, Mike. You need to say Mike now.
Mike now.
Mike now. This is Mike. Yep. This is Mike now.
This is me.
This is me now, saying it's not going to change because we wanted to or anything like that. So, sorry.
And
just
so
those little things.
I went from failing PT tests. Again, I went from being like a super physical achiever, or maybe sometimes this would be a little bit of a struggle, but I would always do well.
Mm-hmm.
I'd always I just can't do it.
Oh, I used to pride myself on being the person who could learn how to do anything because of the linguistic aptitude. If you have the aptitude to learn another language,
you can learn
as
anything.
An adult, you can learn how to do anything, which is it's just something most people in the larger military just don't understand. People in Intel get it, but you start talking to people outside of Intel, you start about that nature, trying to, like, you want to talk about how special snowflakes the linguists are. Imagine trying to be the person in charge of them and you're not a linguist.
Like, yeah, it's like, I can do your job.
Literally, I could do my job better than you, and I could do your job at the same time better than you, and you want to be in charge of me?
How often did you see linguists getting sent to go do all these other jobs, but the reverse could never be true?
Mm-hmm. Oh, we were constantly doing that. For 2 years when I was in Germany, I was not being a linguist. I was basically being an analyst, a coder, a problem solver. I wasn't being a linguist because that, and even at the end when they were trying to make me go back to being a linguist, even then it was more like that wasn't what my forte was. I mean, I had the aptitude for it, fine, but it was very different. So when I say that statement, I used to be able to, I used to tell people I can learn how to do anything. I probably still could, but now it takes me a lot longer.
And it can be overwhelming.
Exactly.
It can be so overwhelming as to make it so you can't.
Mm-hmm. Even though you probably functionally could, the stressors, the triggers, the things that are going on basically paralyze you. And so
that's, yeah.
How do you go out into the world? How do you go out to an employer and say, please employ me, but be warned, I may have a day where I completely go, functional on you.
Like, I broke down when I was working for Best Buy for a little bit. I broke down at work. Mm-hmm. I had to just, like, they were good and they didn't give me a hard time. They just let me leave. But again, I had to stop working at Best Buy because of that reliability. They couldn't keep me. I mean, they were good. They technically on paper made it look like I left voluntarily, but I was fired.
Yeah. It was the same. It was the same way with my last employer before I did my deployment last year. And I mean, all of them. Like, I still have the emails and stuff. The issues that people had were with my ability to function in an environment where they needed me a lot more functional than I was.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't have the diagnosis. I didn't get the official. We knew it was there, but I didn't get the official diagnosis until I was in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had to go. It was between my time in Alabama and Germany that thing that we finally did that part came down. And it was. I mean, like I said, we knew, but it wasn't official, so it wasn't like I could go to the employer and say, "Look, I understand you have issues with my productivity and my functionality, but please understand that
this is because of a disability.
There's a disability here." But I mean, when you're a contract worker, you don't have the protection that you would have. Just like when you're a contract worker, you don't have the protection of. How do you say it? You don't have the protection that other people have when as a reservist, when you go to your job, you don't have that protection of you come back and you're guaranteed to get your job back. Not as a contract worker.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why a lot of people have started, most that we work from home jobs are like that. It's like you're a contractor, you're not an employee, so you don't have anywhere near the same protections as everybody else.
Mm-hmm. But little things, little steps.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
I mean, that's part of the reason why that's part of the reason why we've taken on the long game extra thing of doing the service dog. Even though it's, he adds a lot to what I'm currently having to manage and stuff like that. I feel better when I'm out and about with him than I would otherwise.
Yeah.
And in the long run, he is going to contribute to my functionality, to my ability to go out and be in public spaces. I've already seen the potential that he has to help there. I've seen him actually react to someone having a panic attack. Like he noticed and was focused on it and was like, something's wrong with you, and I'm going to pay attention to you because you need something.
Yeah. Now
this person was on TV, which, by the way, if you haven't seen the show One Day at a Time, you should watch it. Just be warned, there's an episode about the VA that will, oh my goodness, it is so accurate. With her, she's on the phone with the VA the entire episode.
Yeah.
And in the third season, there's actually an episode that deals with anxiety attacks and depression. But she's a veteran with PTSD, so the entire show that is an issue. So it's if you want, obviously watch it. Be aware that there are going to be some issues in there that may lead you down certain roads, but. If again, this is like that Superman, the Man of Steel thing. If you want to understand what it's like to live as a veteran with some of these issues, you can watch that show One Day at a Time. It's on Netflix. It's one of their things. It's really good. And it's absolutely hilarious. And it's about a Cuban family living in LA. They deal with some really interesting issues. There's a lot of issues that. Members of the LGBTQIA+ community. It's good that it tackles a lot of those issues, and it tackles them well. Veterans issues, immigrant issues, the polar like if you want to talk about like political spectrum, like how you come at some of the same issues but do it in also another good way would be Last Man Standing. Like how they handle some of those issues. You can't argue with how they handle it. You may disagree with their viewpoint, but you can't argue with how they decide because they handle those topics really well. It's actually, I have yet to see a show that handles religion as well as Last Man Standing, and they barely ever touch it. But they do, and it's interesting. So, but you want to talk about having some two shows that deal with some hot topic issues in a way that you're like. This okay, I understand what they're saying here, and like there's an episode where they deal with the whole Me Too stuff, and they handled it so well, like better than anything else I've seen on One Day at a Time. I was like, wow, this should be required watching. About how trying to understand toxic masculinity and how you can create issues and how people that you don't even realize have issues are around. It's yeah. Plus, if you have anybody that's gender non-binary, season 3 has that show figuring that stuff out, because they have a character that's gender non-binary in that show.
Hey, you just gained 3 fertility. Or three of your tiles just gained fertility.
You say that, but I'm fixed, so how am I gaining fertility?
This is one of the reasons why I think I'm gonna hold off on dams this game a little bit.
Yeah, because it boosts things.
Flood barriers, you gotta get them up.
Oh, along the coast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't quite realize what they did my first playthrough. I lost a lot of land.
Yeah. Yeah, someone was asking me yesterday. They came into the stream right at the end. They're like, so what do you think of the new content? It's like, what I've played of it? Like, okay, but yesterday was my first time playing the game solo. So,
yeah.
Take that for what it is. Oh, wow. That was a good conversation we had today.
It's already done?
Well, I mean, yeah, look at that. The hour has flown by. And look at all the stuff we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have an Echo in your house?
No, I don't have any of those things.
I recommend getting one.
Why?
She is so freaking handy. Yeah, you remember, one of the things I'm doing today, because I'm taking today off from doing delivery. This afternoon, Art and I are going to work on some videos for us to share on here that are about dealing with some of these issues. But I also have that blog post to post about ClickList and how to deal with shopping. In a way that so you can avoid some of those triggers until you're ready to try to handle them. But another one I'm gonna do is the thing putting things in your life that are going to help you with those little victories. Having a device in your house that will just, when you tell it to, you set a reminder and it just says, "Hey, make dinner." Or Art put one on there that's called My Leftovers, I think is what it is. And when you put something in the refrigerator, you can tell the device to put this in your refrigerator, and then she'll tell you, when you ask what's in your refrigerator, she'll tell you how long it's been there.
Ooh.
Exactly. I was able to set a reminder using the app on my phone to tell Art to go ahead and cook dinner on Saturdays. Like, go ahead and cook dinner. I'll eat when I get home. So a reminder went off to say, hey, and she set one to go off in the morning to tell Zoe to have a good day and that she loves her. And then right before, and talk about being mindful of what I'm doing. 5 minutes before I'm supposed to go on the stream, she set a reminder to tell me that she loves me. So see, you can have this device that just helps you. And so for you, I'd say get one. It's one of those. I got it as a kind of like a quasi birthday present for me, but it's more of a gift for the whole family. And Art was a little skeptical at first, but and like right now in the background, it's just playing music, and you can you can put it in one room. You can actually have multiple ones if you want, but you can have Bluetooth speakers placed throughout your house.
Yeah.
And say, play this in this room. So like you can actually have it set to play something in a certain room at a certain time. Or you can just tell it, hey, play this in this room. That's one of the commercials. We'll play the wake up music in this room. And you just hear the teenager yelling from the other room, I'm awake. So yeah, it's I mean, I was and I waited. I got it on sale. I got the third generation one. I got it on sale. So but it's like, even when it's on sale, it's only like $30 or $40, which it's a stretch sometimes, but it's one of those. Yeah, it was a good. It pays for itself.
Yeah.
With the functionality that it adds. So, Highly recommend having one of those. And you'll notice I managed to do all that without saying her name. And no, you're not going to be able to say it and get her to do it because you're in my ears.
Yeah, I'm not.
The blizzard has gone away. Congratulations on building Machu Picchu.
Thank you. What's his face?
You know what? I'm going to...
America's going to come attack.
It's because he's a butt.
Mm.
I'm going to try to build the Oracle.
Okay. Yeah. How many turns do you got?
I don't know. Why are you trying to build it?
No.
14.
Okay. Hopefully, hopefully you get it. Let me see.
I have a forest. I have a forest I can... There. Now it's 11. And now I can
I'm just going to glance through, see if I can see anybody that we know working on it.
Turn that hill into a mine.
Okay, so I'm not seeing any of our visible players working on it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, obviously that doesn't mean
it looks
not.
like...
Tubin's working on Temple of Artemis.
Yeah, Temple of Artemis. I don't care about that. There.
I like it, but it's never a priority.
Hey, I got my settler back. Art is up and she's getting ready to feed the cats gnomes. So, okay, well, I think I'm going to
wrap it up.
Wrap it up for today. Don't end the game yet.
Yeah.
Just stay in the game for a second. I'll just go ahead and wrap the stream for a second. So let me switch over to this scene. Everybody, and I'm going to mute Discord for a second. I'll be back.
Okay.
So everybody, thanks for joining today. So good conversation with Mike. So the takeaway from today, find those little victories, whatever it is, and celebrate them, even if it's something little like I remembered to shower or I remembered to do this. And I would also reiterate what Mike's therapist told him once. Find something that you're good at and then do it so that you can get that feeling of you accomplished something and succeeded at something. Because when you're struggling with the issues that we struggle with, you need those little victories in your life. So I will be back tomorrow for another solo stream. I don't know if I'm going to keep playing my Civ VI solo game. I think I may go back to RimWorld. We'll see. And yeah, thanks. And so a couple of things. Don't forget, we stream for Extra Life. You can find out more at that link right there. I use StreamPuppy. I use StreamPuppy to manage the app. I use that to post that, and I'm about to use it to do a host thing. You can find out more about me as an author there, and I'm gonna have actually a couple blog posts that I'm gonna write and post there, and cross post here on this blog that my wife started, that we're going to be sharing things about, living with mental health issues and getting through them. So, and you can follow the channel there at Discord, on that Discord. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.